back here on the platform this evening, speaking with Peter Nygard. Mr. Nygard, when I saw your letter that you circulated to everybody concerned with legal actions at Clifton or Nygard or people involved with the environment, I thought it was an excellent idea. I thought it was a good thing to do. To, as I said at the top of the program, to bury the hatchet, so to speak, and to clean up all of these judicial reviews, drop these judicial reviews, and to move on. What kind of reaction did you get?
A slap in the face. Oh, take it down if you give everything we want. You know, if we return the property back to 1983 status, you know, which was just a bare piece of land. You know, it was, particularly Fred Smith was most insulting, to put it bluntly, you know, about his response. And by the way, this is not the first time I offered my hand out. Behind the scenes, I offered it about 5 different times, sometimes by email, sometimes even verbally. This thing has been going on for 10 years. It has just been brought out public just in the last few years, 2 years, when Mr. Bacon now wants to use it as a political campaign to get this Prime Minister out of office. And they know damn well, you know, that I'm a big supporter of Perry Christie. You know, and if that means I'm also supporting PLB, so be it. But I'm a big supporter of the man. He's been a wonderful man, for a good friend of mine for 30, 40 years now, ever since I came here from day one. And he knows darn well that if he can belittle me and he can get me out of the picture, Prime Minister is done. You know, because he needs all the help he can get right now, and I'm so he's attacking me and the Prime Minister constantly, you know, one way or another. So it wasn't the first time this extension was done, to answer your question. I have been rejected over and over and over again. And you know what? On this program, I challenged him, yes, you know, 2 or 3 times already, you know, publicly, you know. So that just became a little bit more formal. But I said, Mr. Bacon, let's put this aside. Let's take this 1 million or 2 or 3, put them all together, and do something specifically for the Bahamian people, you know, as opposed to giving it to these lawyers and New York lawyers and everything else. I said, it's so unproductive what they're doing. And you could be so great for this country if you join hands with me being great for this country, instead of doing what you're doing right now. You know? And I've been challenging him over and over. He wants a blood war.
So lawyers have been making money from the
millions
litigations that have been going on between you two.
The guys who really don't need it and don't deserve it. I mean, the worst people in the world are lawyers.
Yeah.
You know that. They're right there at the scum of the earth over there. You know, the lawyers used to be proud people, you know, with the white curls on, with the suits. My God, the lawyer society is they're down at the gutter.
So you were disappointed that they did not see the wisdom in dropping these lawsuits and coming together to resolve the issues at Clifton. So
I tried to do it nicely. I've been trying to do it quietly and nicely now for years and years and years and years. And I never wanted to get into a pissing contest with a skunk. That's what my daddy told me. Yeah. Hey, Peter, don't get into a pissing contest with a skunk. You know, because you're going to have to piss smellier than he does, or get out of the way.
Yeah. So you feel that it's a personal attack, and does it have anything to do with jealousy of sorts for the kind of property that you've been able to develop?
It does. It does. It has to do with jealousy. There's a certain amount of racism in him, for sure. You know, I mean, my liking, if not loving, for the Bahamian people, the African Bahamian people particularly, and his loving for the white southern where he comes from. His great-grandfather was Roger Moore, you know, and we come from such different backgrounds. And when I first came in here, you know, I walked down the street, almost every single Bahamian's been in Nygard Key. They said, oh, I was there 30 years ago, you know, I was shaking. You know, that kind of an welcoming for the Bahamian, ordinary Bahamian people is not desirable by that community, or perhaps any other such community. And I didn't even realize. Perhaps I'm naive about that, because I would even realize that. I says I didn't want to join the club. I'm not part of Life at Key technically, but I use the facility. And I want to be a good neighbor to them. But above all, I want to be a good neighbor to the Bahamian people themselves.
So you are considered a persona non grata?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I had a nice, peaceful coexistence and a great coexistence with the Life at Key community. Sean Connerys of this world, every celebrity who came into Life at Key, or even Bahamas, came to NIGA at Key. Every royalty, all our royalties are there. I got a slew of pictures of that kind of. And people would have their wedding anniversaries there. They would have their weddings there. They would have their 50th anniversaries there. This was the place to come to and the place to bring your friends to, and they were always welcome. I did not. It wasn't only I wasn't welcoming, the black community, but also the white ones. Not only the rich ones, but also the poor ones. I didn't discriminate against the rich.
Tell me, Peter Nygard, what is your expectation of the government of the Bahamas? I know that there have been judicial reviews that have started before our courts. But what is your expectation now of the government and the people of the Bahamas?
I'm, let's going right back to 3 years, and the Prime Minister himself says, Peter, I know this dispute is between you, and it's been going on for now 5 or 6 years. Let me handle it. Leave it to me. I'm going to make peace between you two. I'm going to get this thing done. And he sincerely thought that he could make a deal and broker a deal, and put this away in his style, in a way that he's pretty good at anyway, putting people together, and went along with that. I parallel the same way as he thought he had a deal with Bahamara, with the Sakis guy. Have all this deal, but what happened in the Sakis deal? They did an end run on him. Pretended to do one thing and then did the other thing. Prime Minister don't like that. I don't blame him. Same thing with me. They did an end run on him. Now he's admitting the fact that they got to me. They fooled me. They fooled me right now, and. So what he, well-meaning attempt by him to resolve this issue and get to peace between us, he failed in doing it. The trouble was now that here it is sitting 3 years later, and now it's becoming now Bacon's getting his own way, and it's become a political football now. And every day he waged in doing this now gets worse and worse and worse for him. So now he's got to get on with this thing. Mr. Prime Minister, you've been 3 years doing it, and you've been wanting to give this lease already, and it's already done. Everybody knows it. It's already done. You've been wanting to get the work permit. It's already done. It was already announced in the newspapers, etc. And it was a home, not anything else. And Brave Davis says it's a done deal, and his committee it was already gone. But now he can't do it because Mr. Bacon, who thinks he runs this government, put an illegal injunction against him to prevent him from doing it. Now, what's the punchline here? Government and Mr. Perry Christie that's got no business sitting there all these years, leaving an injunction that should have gotten rid of 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks after it was issued. These kind of ex-parte injunctions, an injunction is that they can just go to court and ask to put a stop on this until the other people are heard, and then no one has an injunction in this world for 3 years. Nobody in the world has an injunction of this court in 3 years. It's making mockery of our whole judicial system. What Mr. Bacon is right now. And now he's got one, he's got two, all under false pretenses. One pretense I told you about building that dock for the Bahamian people. The other one, you know what it is? Pretending that I'm going to build a stem cell clinic at NIGA at Key. And Tribune wrote this out. We immediately said, where'd you get this thing? You have to retract this. There's no such truth. They wouldn't retract it. They took that article to some of the Life at Key people and said, look what Mr. Nygaard's planning to do here. Do you want a stem cell clinic at NIGA at Key? If not, sign here and we're going to put an injunction against it. And they did. The application to build, never had one word of a stem cell clinic, always a home, etc. That apparently didn't matter at all, you know. So it was a fake.
Your property your house was burnt how long ago?
5 years ago.
5 years ago. And you wanted to rebuild
I wanted to build it, rebuild it 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
Yeah, under the other government, under the minister there was Earl DeVoe, Minister of Environment, and he just ignored it. Period. I mean, Earl ended up being a very rich guy, by the way.
And so
I wonder why.
Well, we don't know if he's rich or not, but
We know he's rich. I'm telling you that.
but I don't-
And you may not know, but everybody here in this audience knows.
okay, that has certain connotations, and I don't want.
If the cap fits, wear it.
Yeah. Okay. The fact of the matter is that you weren't able to rebuild your house because the government says to you, in order for this permit to be issued, for you to rebuild, you have to do certain things.
I had to follow all of the rules and regulations that's required to entitle us to build, like everybody else, which I did. We have to get a report, environmental report, as well as, you know, that it doesn't do any damage to the environment report, which we did, you know. Now, not only did I do it, and by the way, it cost me like $500,000 to get such a report.
$500,000 you spent.
Yeah, just to get the report to show that there was no
environmental impact assessment.
Yeah.
And still you didn't get permission to build.
And the report is absolutely good to go, and still didn't get it. So it totally belittled any report that Bacon had got, which was a bit of fake, you know. You know what their report was? As if Nygaard Key berm over there and sand was stopping from going all the way across 2 miles over there to Jaws Beach. There's no evidence whatsoever that any current whatsoever is going that way, ever, you know. All of the current, it goes down along the shore shot, you know, down there, and on both sides, you know. So it was silly. If you hear their report, they said, well, I robbed Jaws Beach of sand. Nygaard Key did.
When you send the letter out asking for people to come together and to resolve these issues, there are certain people who got the impression that you were capitulating,
Yeah.
that you got tired,
Yeah.
and that you had given up the fight.
I suppose, yeah, you could get that impression, all right. You know, there's some people who just want to see fights going on. You know, I never wanted this fight. I've been on my knees for 10 years. Says, please, let's stop this. I've been using nice words like that. You know, I said, why are we doing this, Mr. Bacon? You and I were friends. You pretend to be a friend of mine. What is it that can do? You know what the answer is? Tear the whole place down. That's what you can do. I said, but that's being unreasonable. Well, so be it. It is total nonsense. I have never in my life, and I'm 74 years old right now, and I've gone through a lot of war scars, you know, battle scars. I have never in my life been with such an adversary, you know, who's so determined to win this thing at any cost. You know, this is a madman.
So you've both spent millions of dollars in this feud. Lawyers in the Bahamas, now lawyers in the United States as well.
Yeah, and they're the ones who really cost money. You know. Yeah, because part of his game now is to deal with the legal system and judicial system. He wasn't able to do some of these other clever things that he's been plotting all along that could take us 2 weeks to explain all of these things. You know, this could be this could be an interesting movie, by the way.
Yes.
This could be an interesting movie, you know. But
I read that you've won certain aspects of the case in New York. The judge in New York has thrown out
90% of it.
90% of it.
And now they're going into and trying to depose everybody. I suppose you as well to depose everybody just to harass them. You know, I mean, You know, it's a game I have never experienced. I never been involved with lawyers. I didn't want to get too close to them, you know. I want to keep my distance from them. If they're a lawyer, they want sort of welcomed, you know. You know, so no, it's a whole new world. It's a whole new world for me. I'm learning to play it because I'm forced into it, you know.
So basically, you would want them to back off and allow the government of the Bahamas to govern.
Absolutely. They cannot legally stop the government from governing. They may be able to, anybody may be able to challenge the government's decisions, but they can't stop them from governing. They are in power to govern. That's what we have hired them, that's what we have elected to them. It's unheard of that you stop a foreigner. A foreigner can come in and stop the government from governing for self-serving reasons, and a foreigner can come in and plot the overthrow of an existing government. That's like CIA stuff, you know.
Well, you say plot the overthrow. You're talking about because of the machinations with respect to save the bays and the injunctions before the courts. That's what you're talking about.
I'm talking about doing various things to try to go on a political campaign, you know, to cause this government to lose power.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's many things they're doing. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, Peter Nygard, this must take an enormous amount of time away from your main business. You are a respected fashion mogul around the world. Yeah. I read articles of your huge investment in China and other places. This must be a major distraction for you.
I'll tell you, my time is now a third consumed with this, a third consumed with my fashion business, a third consumed with my medical business. You know. And now, those two, fashion and medical, they are hot. Both of them are very hot. But the anchor on my neck is Mr. Louis Bacon. You know, and it's sad that one should have to spend their life in that kind of way, in a state of war. You know, you can almost associate it with this America having this ISIS on their back. You know, it's a terrible dilemma for the prime minister, for the president, in how he should really deal with that ISIS thing. You know, but that is nevertheless what he's got to deal with. Well, I also have to deal with a bit of an ISIS myself. You know,
the question is, why don't you just give up? Why don't you? Give up. You have a portion of your place that wasn't destroyed at Nygard Key, that it's habitable. You still there. You still can go and have fun and entertain your friends and your guests. Why don't you give up?
You know, for the last 10 years, he's tried to make that more and more difficult to do. The past 10 years, he's tried to make that more difficult to do. You know, he already blocked off my access, you know, by building over my road so people couldn't get in there. Put a gate up there and challenged everybody, why you're going in there, etc. He's already got cameras, spy cameras everywhere, and listening devices everywhere. You can't get any kind of privacy. He put up huge sound cannons, you know, the kind of cannons that can kill a person, 4 of them, you know, the size of that wall in there. And then he told the guy to turn them on whenever we played music on a Sunday afternoon party. He'd turn them on and it had a screeching sound, you know, screeching like total irritant. This is the kind of stuff that the army uses to get Noriega. He got to take it out of his palace because they used these sound cannons, you know. Well, I'll be damned if Bacon puts them on the wall along the side over there. How he ever got them in is another mystery. They're totally illegal to do. Over and over again, whatever way he can do damage, he does damage. He tries to hire my best people away, prevents me from getting work permits for the other people. I mean, you should see this stuff.
Do you feel any way abandoned by state authority in the Bahamas?
Yes. I'm disappointed in that. You know, I've had such close relationships with all levels of government and both parties of government all my life, and they were always very protective of me, you know, and nothing illegal, just protective of me, you know, and now this guy seems to have his own way, you know. Even with a friend of mine, Prime Minister Christie in power, who said that I will solve it for you, Peter, but hasn't done it. Hasn't done it. And to me, results matter. You know, words are cheap. Results matter. And I now tell Prime Minister, you got to do it. It's in your hands, you know, etc. So get on with it.
You're looking for protection as an investor.
Yes. Yes. My whole investment for some ranges were burned down. 20 years of my life went down in smoke there. You know, that I designed the most beautiful place in a mini Steve Jobs kind of way. You know, the beautiful creation like that, and everybody will tell you, and did it personally, and that went down, and now it's unpleasant place to feel like you're safe.
Let's take a final break here. Peter Nygard, our guest on the program. We'll come right back.